realestateinvesting.com podcast. This is related to the LA Real Estate Expo. And I'm Bill Gross. I'm your host. I'm the LAProbateexpert.com. We do this every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We live stream it to YouTube and Facebook, and we also record it and put it there as well to our social medias. And on this call, we try to bring in experts and vendors and coaches and success stories, people to help you, that person watching, increase your income and build your wealth. I'm not selling anything. I don't have a coaching program to sell for investors. I am an investor, but I do this to meet new people, to go a little deeper, and also to try to help other people, help you guys get started. Of course, if you have probate problems or title problems related to probate, I'd love to help you with that. But really, this is about education, learning, and networking, meeting other people. Love it to be participative. What I tell people is the more you participate in real estate, the more money you make. The more people you talk to, the more money you make. Love to have you turn on your cameras and show up. Love to have you ask questions in the chat box, raise your hands, or participate on social media while we're live. Ask questions. I'll catch them during the call or afterwards. But I can tell you, the more you participate in life, the more money you make. Also, feel free in the chat box to network, put your personal info, your contact info, what you're looking for, what you have to offer. And let's try to help each other make more income and more money. If you're up for, in the next 50 minutes, getting motivated and learning some additional skills to help you make more money and or build your wealth. If you're up for that game, say aye. Put aye in the chat box or raise your hand. If you're up for that, say aye. It's meant to be participative.
Aye.
Good. You get the most. Who said that? Whoever said that, you get the most. People participate the most, get the most. So I'm really excited today.
Hi, how are you?
I met this.
Hi.
Okay, so one was very good. Thank you. So, okay, we're not going to let them rename, and we're going to let them unmute. So I'm not going to let you unmute. If you want to mute, if you have a question to ask, I'm going to actually put in the chat box and I'm going to raise your hand just so we don't get Zoom bombed in the middle. So really excited to have this lady here, Nayshell Kennedy. I saw her at the LA Real Estate Expo a couple months ago. And I want to say that, there are people who play life and there are people who play all in, and there are people who play all in and then some and challenge me. Now, I was if you've been to the LA Real Estate Investment Club, I'm just going to show you what I'm referring to. This event is coming up this Thursday. And what happens is there's an expo. It's in Culver City. And there's an expo with a talk and about 250 people there. And there's an expo where vendors get together, about 50 vendors, people offering services and products to real estate investors get together. And I'd like to go to the event. I want to support it. So I got a table. And as a result of that, the sponsor makes me sit at the vendor table, which I hate. I like to walk around. But I was across the walkway. I had one side and she had the other side. I saw this lady with all kinds of stuff, but most importantly was educating her prospective customers on her product, her service. She had a book. She had all kinds of stuff. She looked like all that and a bag of chips. And I begged her to come on this call. And she played hard to get for a while. Then after begging enough, she said yes. So Nayshell Kennedy, welcome to our call today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
So give us a little background on you first before we start. Where did you grow up? And then how'd you get into real estate in the beginning?
So I am from Philadelphia. That's where I've spent most of my life at. But I'm an Air Force brat, so I've kind of like bounced around. I went to 10 different schools before I graduated high school.
Wow.
So I'm very adaptive. I like to pick up and go. So I'm from Philadelphia, and I got into real estate probably when I was in college. I majored in finance and real estate. And how it was introduced to me was my advisor. I wanted to do finance. And she said, well, that's a good major to double major with something else, to pair up with something else. She was like, so accounting and real estate are two really good ones to pair up with finance. And I chose real estate. And that was my introductory into the real estate industry. And so from there, I started off as an agent, but being a single mother and not having any income, it didn't really work for me. So I picked the lock and went through the back door, and I started working for a broker as his assistant. And then I started working for a developer and I ran his entire operations for like 3 years, gained some properties under my belt, and then ventured off on my own.
Wow. And so you say as you're on your own as a investor, as a
As
realtor,
an
both?
investor, a real estate agent, and then I ended up opening up a real estate consulting company. So I helped inexperienced investors and unsuccessful investors. I would walk them through the entire project. So
Wow.
I was able to do their purchase. You know, when they purchased the property, I would walk them through the whole renovations with my team of contractors, my Rolodex, and then I was able to sell the property or get it rented for them. But I walked them through the entire process.
And you did that in Philadelphia? You did that here in Los Angeles?
In Philadelphia.
In Philly, the city of brotherly love. And just full disclosure, both my parents, not one, both, were from Philadelphia. Both went to high school in Philadelphia, born there, married there, high school there. Both went to college. My mother went to Temple. My father went to Penn State, but came back to Penn Law School. So he left the city.
That's right. Went to Temple.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
there you go. So Temple proud, Owls.
Yeah.
So that's your background. And so tell me a little bit before we go on to where you're doing now, let's talk about coaching investors, the first ones that you said are new and or failed. What's the common challenge or the most common challenge you see of investors who don't get started or the first one doesn't work for them that you see that you're able to help or that you see that people need help with?
It's typically inexperience, so biting off more than they can chew. So if you're inexperienced, I would always tell investors to invest based on their experience. So as an agent, I would tell them to give me their full budget. So if they were inexperienced, I would rather them purchase something more expensive that needed less work. So that way they could kind of learn the ropes, get their Rolodex up for contractors, make minor mistakes that won't be so costly compared to because most investors, especially new investors, want to buy cheap. So they're like cheap, 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 but cheap means more work and you need to have more experience. So honestly, that was probably like the biggest mistake I always seen with new investors or failed investors were buying something that needed more renovations than what their knowledge base was.
And so how'd you help them with that? By holding their hands, doing it with them or educating them?
Yeah.
What was the process?
So I would pick a property. Obviously, we would go look at properties, but I would pick a property that I felt was relative to their experience. And like I said, compared to just giving me, because they would always start off with, oh, okay, I don't want to spend more than X amount of dollars to purchase. And I'd be like, no, give me your full entire budget, because I might have you purchase something more expensive that doesn't need so much work. And then we can walk through the process. So I was there with them when the contractors would come out and give them estimates. I would teach them, how to kind of price out a property when they're looking at it. So like if it needed a full roof or if it needed minor electrical work, things of that nature. And like I said, I was there with them with the contractors would come out and give them estimates. I was there when the renovations were done. I would help them learn like how long certain renovations should take. And if you're, because time is money, so your holding costs can also help you blow your budget.
Let's not go there.
Everything. So from beginning to end, and even when selling the property, teaching them that what you sell the property is not what you're going to pocket. There's seller's costs. So, and just like when you're buying the property, there's going to be fees associated with it that you need to put into your budget. And I actually have a book out that I explain everything from beginning to end. And that was kind of one of my prerequisites, was that they read my book. And it was like a really quick read. It's only 100 and something pages, but that way we could start having intelligent conversations.
So you want to pictures of the book? Where's the book available and what's it called?
It's on Amazon.com and it is called The 16 Keys to Successful Real Estate Investment.
And if I remember correctly, you signed those at the LAProbate event, right?
Yeah, I actually sold, I was selling them at the event and I signed them.
Nice. Get real life signature right there on the spot from her. And so now we move into what you're doing now, which is in home inspections. But to be honest, when I met you, I said, well, anybody who gets you as a home inspector is getting all this experience for the price of a home inspection. Because really, that's your input on a deal could be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars for the price of inspection, which isn't anywhere near that. Let's talk about what you're doing now, which is doing home inspections in Southern California, throughout Southern California,
Yep.
LA area. Where do you do it at?
Yeah, so I'll travel up to like 2 hours outside of LA.
Wow.
So sometimes that can take me up to Palm Springs. It just depends. But I'll travel up to 2 hours outside of like LA. Um, and honestly, my child, I have a son, he graduated high school. And when he left PA to go to college, I was like, well, what I'm going to do? I'm going to be bored. I want to go somewhere new. And I ended up choosing LA. So when I came out here just to kind of like learn the lay of the lands, I was actually a junior project manager for custom new construction in Beverly Hills. So the project that I was on for 2.5 years was a 15,000 square foot property with a budget of 12 million to build. So as I did that, obviously I don't like working for people, honey. I am not employable. So
I
I
get
was
it.
like,
I get it.
yeah, I am not
First, I
employable.
agree. I get that I'm not an employee. Second, I get that you're not. I'm not. You're certainly not.
I got a little bit too much personality and mouth on me.
All
So
that just doesn't fit into a box.
so I was thinking like, okay, what do I want to do out here? And from me actually really being I was a realtor and I was in the industry for over 10, 15 years. So I already knew I couldn't just come jump in somebody's market and be like, oh, I'm going to be a realtor, because I couldn't tell you where Ventura was, Encino, like things that I know now. I just didn't feel comfortable. And I've always prided myself on being a very knowledgeable realtor within the market I was in.
Right.
So I was like, well, what can I do that's going to make me good money that and I was like, I can do home inspections. So I started studying for my certification, which took me about like 2 years or so to get. And then I just started building the company from there. So
Very nice. So now you do home inspections. So describe for me, I'm an investor. Why do I want to know you as a home inspector?
well, especially out in this market, because
But
the price
besides
point.
the obvious that you're all that and a bag of chips or two and a
Come
Coke.
on now, Bill.
Besides that, why would I want to know you as a home inspector?
Well, like you said, you're getting a lot of experience coming from me, just in other spectrums besides home inspections, with building, real estate, knowing what goes into a project and so forth. But especially out here, so like back home, I really wouldn't have my clients get home inspections. I was able to kind of price out their renovations, and I would just have contractors come in and give them estimates. But out here with the price points being so high, one of my inspections, it was a $700,000 deal. The home wasn't even bigger than 1,400 square feet. And my client thought he was going to go in and basically do cosmetic work. After I did the inspection, I was like, oh no, baby, you got some foundational issues up in here. You have some major mechanicals. And did you know this was knob and tube wiring for the electrical? So that all has to go, honey, which was going to blow his budget. And because I knew what he wanted to do and what would be entailed in that, I was able to advise him just not within the home inspections and provide a report and say, hey, this is what's wrong with the house, so forth. I was able to also give him insight onto like what he really needed to look for when he was out looking at new properties, because obviously he wasn't going to be able to go through with that deal because it was going to blow his renovation budget.
Mm-hmm. So home inspectors, what does a home inspection cost?
So depending on the square footage, but the industry standard usually is around like $400 to $500.
Mm-hmm.
So my inspections start off at $550 for anything under 2,000 square feet. However, I am running a special for $100 off until next year. So technically you're starting at like $450. And then it goes up in cost based on the square footage. If you have any add-on services like a pool inspection for me costs an additional $175. And if like you're having a radon inspection, if you need a termite inspection or a sewer inspection, which I actually refer to third-party vendors that specialize just in those items. But yeah, so that's typically the industry standard.
That sounds very standard. Okay, good. So we have a couple of hands up real quick. We'll take some questions. David, I see your hand up. Let's see if we can unmute it and get you in here. You're muted. Can't hear you.
There we go.
There
Sorry.
you go. No problem.
Hi, David.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I didn't mean to put my hand up. I meant I
Oh.
put it up earlier. That was
Got
by
it.
accident.
No problem. Okay, thanks.
Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. Ruby, I see your hand up. You have a question you want to ask? I can put your video on. And you can jump in here and ask a question. No? There you go. Hey, Ruby, what's up? We need you to you're muted. Ruby, she's driving, so maybe this is a good time for her. Okay, so we'll catch you in a little bit, Ruby. Okay, so let's talk home inspection. So you've been in a market where you did, as an agent, did you have customers who hired third-party home inspectors?
Oh yeah, all the time.
So how are you different? How do you, now that you do it, I'm sure when you're the agent, you're just, they're all, they're causing problems or this and that. Now that you do it, it's a little harder. I'm sure there's part of that. How do you see yourself different than the home inspectors that you used to work with?
Well, so I had a couple home inspectors that I had to get rid of because they like to kill my deals.
There you go.
And their reports just weren't giving what they needed to give, as far as, I like a thorough inspection, but I don't like a petty inspection, if that makes sense. So sometimes calling out very, very minor issues, depending on the type of client you have, can scare them off of a really good deal.
Yeah.
So with me now switching over into a home inspector, I know how to have a conversation with your client, especially if they're there, without ringing a ton of alarms within their spirit. So that kind of differs me. And then my reports have like videos in them. You can go online with them. You can print out a PDF. I have a repair request builder built into my home inspections for the real estate agents. So it's something that they can literally go through, click the items that they want, choose if they want a credit for it or if they want it to be repaired, and then immediately email it and text it over to the listing agent. And with the clients, they have a portal within my system. So it's also very user-friendly on top of everything else.
Nice. I like that. I as a listing agent, most of my business are probates. On what we call a standard retail deal, I feel like the buyer's agent picks the inspector off the internet, whoever's cheapest. At the end of the inspection, the inspector offers let's go through every deal and scare you the hell out of this deal as much as we can. And then we're going to give you a list of every possible defect in the property. And I love when the buyer's agent just copies and pastes and sends that to me and says, we need all this fixed. And it's like, well, they live in the house now. Why would they fix all this stuff for your buyer? If he wants to buy the house, you can fix it. If you want to make a concession or ask for a credit, maybe. It just always strikes me as funny. Like, do you really think the buyer? Like, I had one once where those little, I don't know what you call them, the backstops on the door, those little kind of springy things. They were bent throughout the house, and it's like, you think the seller's going to replace them for you? Like, they're like $1 a piece at Home Depot. Go buy 10 or 20 and screw them in if you want to change them. But sometimes people are unrealistic what they expect.
And sometimes also when it comes to the buyers, I've also learned that some buyers just don't know certain things are like super easy to do it themselves and fix and super inexpensive. So that's also like another thing with me, when you're having conversations with buyers and not ringing the alarms. So compared to just telling them like, oh, all these need to be fixed throughout the house.
Right.
It's about how you communicate it where, oh, these are very minor and easy to do. They cost about $1 from Home Depot. You can just pull them out. You can literally screw them out and screw them back in. It's not worth losing this amazing home that the mechanical systems are in tip-top shape and so forth. But these are cosmetic issues that you can easily update yourself.
Exactly.
So, and
make it easy for the seller to
question.
Well, I see Tom Wynn has a question. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Oh, hi, Bill. Hi, Kennedy. I have a question about home inspection report. Somebody already answered me, but I just want to talk and get it more clear. So can I put like a contingency on my like completion report? Like I want no major structural damage, no termite, and with the termite or structural damage, it will. I have the right to either void the purchase agreement or subtract the money that I need to repair. Because some of the property, um, I don't have time to do the full, things like that.
Well,
Great
you
question.
wouldn't necessarily put a contingency on the items specifically. You would just put a contingency for yourself to do your due diligence and have a home inspection. So you have it's called a due diligence period or whatever, the contingency period. So you can negotiate it however you see fit, whether it's 5 days, 10 days, 15 days. And then within that time, you're able to get the home inspection. And if the home inspection comes up with things that you're not willing to, or you don't want to deal with, or you don't want to repair, or whatever the case is, then you can back out of the deal because of the home inspection. But it wouldn't be like if a structural issue comes up, it's going to be contingent on that. Or if all the windows need to be replaced, it would just be contingent on the home inspection report as a whole, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think the way to look at it also is the inspection is designed for things that you wouldn't normally expect, right? Like I'm an escrow right now on a old property. It's industrial, and I think it was built in 1910. So you have like concrete walls, and it has some interesting architecture because of its age, but it has asbestos because all properties built then had asbestos, and so on. And so when you look around, and then the buyer came back with his inspection report and noted deficiencies, and I said, what do you think you're buying? You looked around, you saw the property, you saw the condition it was in. We didn't present it as redone. We presented it as, as is. And if we misled you, and I think that's so the inspection is really designed for things you wouldn't know without having a professional go under the floor or going to look at the electrical and test it, and run the water and test the water and such. So it's really mainly for that, right? And Michelle, I like the way you answered that, because it sounds like I find a lot of buyer's agents who are newer can't explain these things to their customer, and I imagine you'd be a great resource for a buyer's agent or a new investor to help them through the process.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about kind of expanding into that later out here. I would just like to get a consistent flow with the business I have at hand now, which is the home inspection business. And but I'll probably will start venturing into getting back into basically being a consultant for newer agents and new investors, like I said, unsuccessful investors and so forth out here.
Nice. Tom, we answer your question?
Yes. So the and also one more thing. So the inspection report, you say, how can I prove it's like the official inspection report? It's like what I'm saying is that I can prove it is a good inspection report. It's not something that I make it up or I give it under the table for her to make it up so I can back out the purchase agreement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't think that's ever really like an issue per se, like proving it's a real inspection report. But I mean, the inspection report is going to have pictures of the property. So it's like, this is a picture of your bathroom. This is your sink that is leaking. So it's not that it's fake. You know what I mean? So the home inspection report is of the home, and it's going to have pictures. Now, I won't say that all home inspections don't necessarily come with pictures, because you still have a lot of old school people within the industry that might do paper reports and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's going to have pictures, and it's going to be about the person's house, and they can't deny that their ceiling is leaking when there's a picture of their ceiling leaking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So it's like obviously it's
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be from a big company or like from a certified CPA or something like that. Like like in accounting, you have to have a certified financial, financial statement. It's just not from anybody. You know what I'm saying? So, but here it's like we have pictures, so this doesn't have to be like certified home inspector.
Yeah, no, and the whole thing with California, so some states you do have to be licensed, and some states you do not have to be licensed to be a home inspector. And California so happens to be one of the states that you do not have to be licensed. However, everybody has to be certified to be a home inspector. And there is a national test that is given across the board throughout America, national test that you have to pass, which makes you certified. And then for states where there's not necessarily a licensing agency that requires us to have a license, it's recommended that we join up with an association. So on top of me being certified nationally, I also am certified through Internashi, which is another national association board. And then like there's a California board that you can become certified through them. I just think sometimes that's a little redundant to be a part of 5 different associations, just paying for it still.
Okay. All right. So
thank-
great. Yeah, it's good to know you be certified. So
Good.
Yeah, you
Thanks,
have
Tom.
to be certified though. You do have to be certified. You can't just be a home inspector walking around without a certification.
Well, you
do have
can
to
be.
certified.
You can be. Just it may or may not be legal. People do. People do this stuff all the time.
to be
Tom,
like
thanks.
non-certified inspection home report.
Yeah.
That's something like that. There'll
Yeah,
be a
you-
non-certified inspection report versus a certified inspection report.
Yeah. Well, certification. The thing about certification is only as good as whoever does a certificate. I mean, you can go online and get a college degree. It's you can print it out. It's who is it from, and I also think it's who they do business with. And the reason why I brought Nichelle on the call is, when you talk to her in 5 minutes, you figure out right away she knows what she's talking about. I mean, that's the key. I think that that's why she goes to the vendor expo. You can meet her. She puts herself out there, and that's why she wrote a book, so you can read what she has to say. So that's why we're here. Tom, thanks so much. We may see your hand up. You were there for a while. I see your question in the chat box, but if you want to unmute and put your camera on, we'd love to chat with you a little bit. If you want to ask your question live, there you go. You're muted as well. Ruby, and she's fumbling around for the unmute button, and you got it? No? Problem with the car, whenever we're on the phone, it's always hard to find the unmute button. I got to tell you, we have to let you hang on there for a little bit. Her question is, Nichelle, how do you find an investor? I'll tell you one answer before I let you answer. The easy answer is on Thursday at 5:30, come to the vendors expo in Culver City. It's 6 o'clock till 9. There's a speaker at 7:30. There's 250 people walking around, a lot of investors. There's 50 vendors, including some investors. That's one way. Nichelle, how do you tell people to find investors when you're an agent? How do you find somebody to work with?
So for me, networking is key. I feel like your network is your net worth. I think it is on Meetup. The expo. It might be. It is free to attend.
It's free to attend, and the website, make it easy. It's LAREIC, LAREIC.com is the website. I'll put that in the chat box again. LAREIC. And I'll tell you another way to meet investors. I'm a real estate agent. I'm with eXp Realty. We have our own in-house investor kind of pool where we can make cash offers on properties around the country. So I know we have some eXp agents on, Patricia and some others. So when we get certified for the Offers Express program is another way to get involved. And for people at other agencies, there's OfferPad and there's all kinds of other companies that do these things that will take agents in and connect with you to find investors. And finding investors isn't the problem, it's finding the deal. I promise you, you find a good deal and you bring it here to this call, somebody will finance it or buy it for you. I promise you. I get people all the time mad at me thinking I'm holding back the good deals from them. There's just not enough good deals. You're always looking for good deals, right?
Mm-hmm. And once you start networking, especially going to like real estate events or expos or real estate meetups, and if you're consistent with it, people will begin to remember your name. They will reach out to you, and you're always present. And I always said, like, once I started going to networking events, then business and deals and investors and so forth, they started coming to me.
Yeah. That's what you
Yeah.
want.
So I always say surround yourself with whatever it is that you want to do. Like, if you want to be an artist, then you should go hang around artists. If you want to be in real estate investment, then you should hang around different real estate events and real estate people and so forth.
You know, look at this call just as an example. 24 people on the call, maybe 4 have their cameras on. The rest aren't participating. If you participate, people see you, the confidence, if you have the courage to show up, put your video on, put your information in the chat box so people can reach out to you. If you're an agent, Ruby, people find you. People are looking for somebody with certainty, with a plan, hard worker, consistent. Everybody's scared about somebody who's somewhat anonymous. I get people all the time to send me deals. I can't give you the property without signing an NDA. And I tell them, if you know me, you know I don't need to sign an NDA. If you think I need to sign an NDA, we shouldn't be doing business together because you'll know me. It's okay. That's on you. It's not on me. But I think that the really easy answer is put yourself out there, meet people, come to LAREC, meet more people, talk to more people, talk to them regularly, show up regularly, participate, and you'll find more people than you know what to do. On the investor side, finding deals is the hard part, and that's how we get paid really in this business. So let's talk about inspections. What do you see as something that you see buyers of your service not understand when they get it? They're surprised or disappointed or frustrated that maybe you end up explaining to them. Like, what's the misconception about your business or your service?
Rephrase the question a little bit. What do you mean? Like what?
So we all have cases where somebody expects more for some reason. Maybe pre-sale before they buy from us or after they buy from us. Well, I thought I get a phone call sometimes and they'll call me about a property that's listed for sale somewhere. And I'll say, well, it's not my listing. I really can't help you. Wait, are you an agent? Won't you just pick up the phone and drive me out and show me the property? And I say, well, no, that's not really my business. I list property for sale. I have team members who do buyer sites. So I'd say sometimes there are buyers who have unrealistic expectations, and my job is to educate them. What's an unrealistic expectation the buyers have of your service that you have to share with them and show them based on your track record how the business really is?
I can probably say that maybe that it is a visual inspection and not an invasive inspection. Mm-hmm. So I can only do things with normal operating controls. I cannot take apart somebody's hot water heater. I cannot, like we're going to turn on the hot water. And if there's hot water, then that tells me to a certain extent that the hot water heater is functional. And then, of course, I'll go and make sure that it has the correct clearances, the TPR valve, yada, yada, yada. But it's all visual. I'm not going to unscrew it and anything of that nature. So it probably would be that it is a visual inspection and we use normal operating controls. So like for the heating and AC, I'm going to turn the thermostat on and then I'll go and I'll do my testing of it. I'll make sure visually looking at the furnace that everything is intact. I'll go around to the different vents in the house and I have a thermal imaging gun. So I'll make sure that it is putting out the correct air at the right temperatures and so forth. But if the heater is not working and it doesn't turn on, I can visually look and see if maybe I can pinpoint the reasoning for it. However, they would have to get an actual somebody who is specialized. So you would actually get a heating technician who can come out and take it apart and, figure out why it's not functional. But that probably is the biggest thing, that we are visual inspectors and we use normal operating control, and we're not going to do an invasive inspection because we'll be held liable if something goes wrong because we done tapped something, fell apart. Now we're responsible for paying to get it fixed.
I gotta tell you, I've met a lot of home inspectors in my career. Most of them can't explain anything out of a paper bag because they're, they want to go look at things, take pictures, do the report up. And I think the real hidden value of working with you is you see the big picture and you communicate really well to the customer. So I know for me personally, this is just really a treat to learn.
I appreciate that because you're throwing these questions at me, honey, and I'm like,
I'm throwing you fastballs. You're from Philadelphia. You're a big girl,
throwing them at me, and I'm like,
you're not
prep me on this, everybody.
Oh,
He just
none.
was like, "You want to come be on my podcast?" And I was like, "Sure, honey. I love to be on somebody's camera."
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, we also know that too, but that's besides the point. That's besides. No, there's no prep at all, and you're answering all the questions. I'm throwing you some hard ones, and you're saying right back at me. So thanks. That's good for you. Okay.
and they
Hey,
also want to know how I can do things in nails, and it's like, because I can.
I'm not going to ask that question. I'm smart enough not to ask that question. I asked somebody like you a long time ago that question. I got the answer, and I've never asked that question again. So if you're bad enough to have those nails, and you're bad enough to figure out how to work around them, that's just how it is. I figured that out a long time ago. Okay, so here's a chance to talk to a pro in real estate, investor, teacher, coach, author. Today, she's a home inspector, and you can use her for service for that. I think you're going to get a whole experience beyond just a home inspection. Here's a chance to ask a question. Jump in either in the chat box. I think we're caught today in the chat box. I do appreciate you guys looking for business and promoting yourselves in there. Thank you very much. Cheyenne, nice to see you. And Maisha, thank you. Nice to see you as well. Look, they're going back and forth already. Sandy, you have a comment you want to make? You have a question, or do we have Sandy Hope? Let's see. You want to mute yourself, maybe? Are you there?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Hey, Sandy, how you doing?
Hi, everyone. Hey, I actually don't have an inspection question, although that info is really, really helpful. So thank you. I just wanted to make a comment that I have an opportunity. I don't know how long it's going to be out there, but I talked to the people this morning. There's an amazing house for sale in Texas. I used to live there for 15 years, so I know.
Let me do
I know.
this, Sandy.
Okay.
I'm glad to help.
Yeah.
But there's a way to do this. We have a bunch of people on the call. Some might be interested, some not. If you have a property to pitch on this call, feel free to put it in the chat box with links and information, or send it to me ahead of time. I'll look at it.
Okay, I
present
just
it to
thought
the
the
group.
people on the call might be interested because
Sure.
we have to close it on Friday,
Sure.
and there's an opportunity to make about $200,000 to $300,000.
Send me the info and I'll vet it. And if so, I'll be glad to pass it on.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. I'll do that then.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And nothing against it. And Sandy's great support and all. It's just, I'm trying to keep things moving for everybody and have
Sure.
the people in the call can understand what's going on with it. So, so Maisha asked a question. I asked this question. I got the answer. I didn't like the answer. Do you prefer being an agent or inspector? And the answer is today, she's an inspector. I'd love to work with her on my team as an agent. She is all that and more. But Naisha, do you prefer being an agent? Do you prefer being an inspector? Do you prefer being an investor? Do you prefer being a speaker coach? What do you prefer being?
So I usually answer that question. Well, I never really got the question. To be quite honest, my gift is being a speaker. I believe you have a gift, you have a skill set, and you have a passion. Your gift is just what God gave you and you're just naturally good at. Your passion is something that you love to do without getting paid for it. And being a real estate investor consultant is just my passion. And then my skill set is being a real estate agent and home inspector. Which one do I prefer? I'm not gonna lie to y'all, probably being a real estate agent and an investor consultant. That probably is what I prefer. However, I do love being a home inspector also, but yeah, guys, I prefer to be a agent or a consultant, I should say, and a speaker.
There you go. So come see her on Thursday and she'll speak and she'll show what consulting looks like. We're going to get her on stage there as a preferred speaker. Okay. Any other questions? We're kind of coming up on the end of our time here. She's been very generous with us. I don't see anything else in the chat box. Mom, baby, vacation, catch up later. And you explained the thorough versus a pity inspection. Okay, so I think we covered all the questions that I see. Anybody else not seeing any? No? So just real quick, if you want to catch up with Nayshell, she is on the IG, on Instagram, kismetkennedy.com, and you're going to get all kinds of, I'm sorry?
Just to be honest with you guys, so my website will be back up by the end of this weekend. I just realized today going on my website that, honey, it has been stolen. Somebody has stolen my website. So I have to contact my provider. But the best way to reach me is At this point, you can call or text me. I'll provide my phone number,
Right.
which is area code 747-474-1847. And my Instagram, you can go there. You get a little bit of my personal life or whatever, but I prefer everybody to go to my website. But the website is down, but it will be up. So I will give you guys the address still, which is kismetkennedy.com.
There you go, kismetkennedy.com. Yeah, I went there before to set up for the show, and unfortunately, it turned out that somebody else was parking on her website.
Yes,
That's interesting.
that is rude. Who steals a
That's kind of what I
website?
thought. So there's a number in the chat box, and that way you guys can get it, and you can see her in the IG. And for anybody here in Southern California, including Nashel, on Thursday at 5:30 starts for vendors and 6 o'clock for guests or attendees is the Real Estate Expo that we have in Los Angeles. This is the LA County Real Estate Investors Association Expo. The website is still LAProbate.com. And this is the location, it's in Culver City area, really, technically Los Angeles, right off of Motor Avenue. And there'll be a class at the end. That starts, I think, at 7. The vendor expo says it starts at 6:30. I get there at 5:30 because it fills up by 6. There's the address, the Iman Cultural Center. And this is the speaker, Joe Arias, who's a coach investor in real estate, who's done hundreds of fix and flips, is an expert on fixing and flipping. And so again, LAREIC is a place you can sign up for it. And I'm the official podcast of the event, so I'll be there live streaming it. And Nashel is a participant there. You'll see her there. You can buy her book, get it signed there in person, talk to her about home inspection, hire her for home inspections, and get her advice and stuff. Look, she's just a lot of fun to sit there and talk to, if nothing else. So I don't want to waste your time there, but let's be honest. Okay, so we're going to wrap up, everybody. That's where we're going to see you hopefully Thursday. If you're local, if you're not local, come back again. We do this every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And it's the LA Real Estate Investing.com podcast, or you can go to realestateinvestingzoom.com every Tuesday at 3 p.m. I'm Bill Gross, the LA probate expert. Bring me your probate deals if I can help you. Great seeing you, Paul. Sandy, thanks. Tom, thanks for all the questions, everybody, and have a great week.